Welcome to our video library of resources for your organisation. We're joined here today with Gemma Reigate, the Chief Executive Officer of the Centre for Volunteering, which is the peak body of volunteering in New South Wales. Hi Gemma, and welcome.
Hi Julia.
Great to have you here. We're jumping into another great question with you, and we have covered lots of topics in our video library with Gemma. The next one we're jumping into is how can organisations recruit and retain volunteers? So let's jump into it. We've got some great information here on recruitment strategies first.
We do. Recruiting and retaining volunteers would be the number one topic that we have to address every year. It's a constant issue with organisations and groups, and particularly now it's very, very current. So the graphic that you can see there shows the main ways that organisations recruited volunteers in 2020. And always, number one is word of mouth. You know, you make one volunteer feel good and have a great time and feel like they're doing something really worthwhile, they will bring along others with them. So always keep that in mind when you're thinking about recruiting volunteers. The volunteers that you have are going to tell the best story about what it is that you're doing. And so it's a wonderful way to recruit volunteers. But also social media is playing a much bigger part in recruiting volunteers these days. And it's a bit like word of mouth really, because that is what social media is. It's people chatting with each other online, but something to be really aware of and to finesse your messaging so that you are using social media to get more volunteers and to show what great programs you have. And finally, going to the various websites that make up the National Volunteering Database, including our website volunteering.com.au, you will see there is a portal to recruit volunteers, and all of the current job ads for volunteering are listed there, and you can, if you're a volunteer, you can search and match up to things that you're interested in and skills that you might want to use. And organisations can register their volunteering roles on that website. So it's an excellent recruitment tool for both organisations and for individual volunteers. So once you've recruited your volunteers, it's all about retaining them. And there are many, many ways that you can retain volunteers that are pretty simple, really, in many ways. But I don't want to oversimplify it. But there are key things that organisations and groups use to retain their volunteers and to keep them motivated. And particularly, it's very, very important that volunteers feel like they are contributing to something useful. And so always keep that in mind. Number one there for retention is personal connection and relationship building. Volunteering, as we know, the motivations for individual volunteers, that is the number one thing, that there is that personal connection and feel like not necessarily part of a group, but part of something that is important. And so that is really key. Simple things like out-of-hours gatherings and social activities are important for retaining volunteers, as well as various awards that are critical too. And we are going to be talking a bit more about volunteer recognition in a later film, but motivating volunteers by acknowledging their efforts I think is really, really important. And I would just like to say that the New South Wales Volunteer of the Year Awards is one really fantastic way of acknowledging the volunteering efforts in your communities. The Centre for Volunteering runs the awards each year, and we acknowledge in those awards almost 120,000 volunteers every year, and it's growing every year. So I encourage you all to nominate for those awards, because it is a very public way of saying thank you to volunteers, and also for getting the message out about your volunteering programs and what you're contributing to your communities. And again, information about all of that is available on our website.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gemma. And are there any on here that sometimes organisations just miss by accident? Is there any standouts here that people might, organisations might think a bit more in the coming months and year ahead?
Yes, I think so. The training availability for volunteers, I think that's a quite an important thing, because one of the motivations, again, that is something that volunteers really want and growing, is that they want work experience and learning new skills for pathways to employment and so forth. So that's something that could be considered by a lot of organisations that don't at present. Also things like mentoring programs, buddying people up, and that is also a really great way of building your volunteering program and retaining the volunteers that you have, but also getting new ones. And as I said before, the rewarding and recognition programs that are available, including the New South Wales Volunteer of the Year, we acknowledge 120,000 volunteers, but we know that there are literally millions of volunteers in New South Wales who could get that recognition too. So we certainly encourage that.
Fantastic. Well, there's certainly a great checklist there for you to take into your organisation. Maybe sit down with a cup of tea and work out which things you're doing, which things that you might be able to implement into your programs over the coming months and year ahead. And we wish you all the very best, and thanks for joining us today.